I'm really pleased today to be interviewing Andy LOPATA. Andy is a real-life guru, and we haven't had many real-life gurus on the program. And some of you might remember him from the Fellows Symposium last year. But for those who don't, my first question is a really sneaky one. Andy, I bump into you in the corridor, and I say, Andy, what do you do? How do you respond to that?
So what I do is I'll work with individuals and with organisations to help them understand how to build and make the most of relationships with the people around them. So in short, it's what's known as networking, but perhaps not as many people perceive it. So a lot of people see networking as networking events and social networking sites. And yes, I do teach those and I do help people with that where it's appropriate. But networking sites, networking events are tip of the iceberg, and networking is something much bigger and much more important than that. So what I do is I focus on the strategy, the strategic approach to networking, whether it's working with an individual to help them understand how putting a networking strategy together will help them find the right job they want or progress their career, whether it's an organisation who want to understand how to influence key decision makers or influence the people who influence those key decision makers in turn, whether it's helping them understand how to generate referrals, a new business through referral, or whether it's understanding how to break down silos within an organisation and encourage conversation and sharing and collaboration internally. It can be a range of those things. So networking is that catch-all, but it's about the building of the right relationships so that you have this huge resource that you can turn to for help and support.
Hence the need to be specific, because not everything works for everyone. So how do you do it?
I'll use whatever tools work for my clients, whether it's a client who have a disparate sales force who can't bring them together in one place easily, whether it's a client with only 5 or 10 people, whether it's one with hundreds. You find the right fit for them. It will be a mixture. But what I will tend to do very often is I'll do something where I give a presentation to a big audience within a client to get them thinking in a different way and get them understanding there is a need here. Because you turn around to most people in business and say you need help with networking, they're still stuck on that old perception. Yes, and a lot of people don't realise.
Here's my business card.
Exactly. And a lot of people don't realise they need help. So I'll do either whatever length presentation. I hesitated there because there's a tendency towards shorter and shorter presentations these days. But the one I did for the Fellows Symposium was 90 minutes because it was interactive. And I was speaking to someone last night about how I think that often adds more value than a 20-minute, people sit, listen, don't talk to each other, don't engage with it. I'll then go into a half day or a full day workshop for those who have engaged and want to know more. And I'll then go into mentoring for those who want even more support. Yeah.
Do you do one-to-one as well? Does it come down to give people individual help?
I do. Most of my clients tend to want to work with bigger teams, and I will tend to veer towards 1 to 3 because it makes it more cost effective for them. You know, if you start doing 1-to-1 with all the key people on their team, they're going to be bringing me in for a lot of work, which is lovely for me, but budget will start to really get impacted there. Sure. And I also believe that doing work in small groups for mentoring, you get more out of it because they learn from each other's experiences, and you tend to find that people will start supporting each other in that environment, which is, of course, what I'm trying to encourage. And what I'll often do in client organisations is we'll work on who is in each team. And, for example, with one bank, what I did was each team of 3 was made up of people from private banking, institutional and commercial. So we broke down the silos, and that was very effective as well.
So give me some tips. One tip I've already picked up from you is I'm not going to give you my business card. It's a complete waste of time. Go in your top pocket and it will never see the light of day again. Could you give us 2 or 3 really useful tips to get people thinking in the way you want them to think?
Well, first of all, on the business cards, I think, are very important. And there's a lot of people who now say, I don't carry business cards, as if it makes them clever. And I've written a blog about this called The 5-Card Trick. But there's a lot of people who now of that belief, I don't carry business cards. I think that's disrespectful to people who want their information and want to do something with it. What I don't advocate is giving your card out as soon as you meet someone, unless it's in a one-to-one meeting that you want their details. But as soon as you meet someone cold, here's my card. Get to know them first. But in terms of tips going forward, a lot depends on what you want to achieve, and that would be my number one tip. Whatever your position, whether you are running your own business, whether you're running a department, whether you're starting your career, know what you want to achieve. You are surrounded by people who can help you, who have the experience, the expertise, a different worldview, a network of other contacts that will make your life easier. But if you don't know what you want to achieve, then how can they? And so how do you know what help to ask them for? So be really clear on what your goals are, what your objectives are, and then how other people can help you achieve them. The second tip would be to build a broad and diverse network. A lot of people make the mistake of only focusing on the breadth of the network. There are actually 3 elements you need to focus on. Breadth, yes. There's no point only knowing 8 people because it's going to restrict what you can achieve and how your network can help you. But you need that network to be diverse as well. If the people you know all know the same people, have the same experience, share the same expertise, and have the same way of looking at things, you've got no new ideas to come in. But it also needs to be deep. You need to build relationships. So get to know people, follow up with them, think about them when it's not about you, get in touch with them when it's not about you, so you can build the depth of the relationship.
This is really good advice.
Good.
Really good advice.
And then the final one that I'll give, I mean, there's so many different different tips I could give, but I guess I'm trying to think of something that's relevant to everyone, whether they be running their own business or in a department. I think it's continual follow-up. I think it follows on from that, the depth of the relationship. Stay in touch with people, keep in touch, keep talking to them. Great quote I heard years ago, make friends when you can, not when you need them. There was a book, Dig Your Well Before You're Thirsty. It's the same idea. And I think if you can reach out to people when it's not about you, that's so powerful. In the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey talks about emotional bank accounts. And he says, you can't walk into a bank, say, give me some money. You've got to pay in first. And it's the same with relationships. And you have to think about depositing first before you look to take something back.
Giving, not just taking.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks very much. I really enjoyed talking to you. And I hope everybody takes note of those tips. They're really, really useful tips.
Thanks.
I've clocked them as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.